You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
The Herons are champs. Yeah. Roll south to Freedom Park, rockin' pink and black. Official tissue in the 305, bounty full of grapes. The Battered Fan with Chris and Dan dropping hot takes. Messi and the Herons start the season with a star on the crest, so 29 fan bases can cry, cause we the best. Sign homegrowns like Noah, Frey and Ruiz, replacing goats with grapes. Yeah, Miles got the cheese and he called it. Freedom to dream was the backbone. From Lockhart to Miami, it feels good to be at home. Multiple times a week on YouTube and audio. Take the time to subscribe, like and share the show. So check and chat, grab your MLS cup and coming. No question about it, I'm ready to get a star again.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the Herons are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 519 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Gardner. Alongside me, Elvis KBD. How are you doing, sir?
Well, we got Mr. Hall Monitor, Mr. Krabs here, making sure that we're timely in the classroom. Shout out to you guys hanging out with us on a Wednesday night.
Next week, we got a game on a Wednesday.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah.
Wednesday
I mean, I miss those. I mean, I usually complain about them. I kind of miss them. Yeah, and that's what sucks, right? It should have been a Champions Cup game and this one should have gotten rescheduled.
Yes, absolutely.
But nonetheless, we got game number 2 at New Stadium, and we got the Red Bulls coming into town, the Young Guns. It's gonna be fun because it's a team that's relatively new to us, right? Julian Hall, Mehmeti, we got Dos Santos back there. We got oh my god, I'm blanking on this kid's name that just came back from Mexico. Cade Cowell. There we go. He's back. I haven't seen him play in a while. So it's gonna be interesting because a lot of new faces than we're used to.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because historically, just recently, the Rebels have been like our get right game. And so
it's right on your birthday,
like,
usually.
Yes, and usually it's on my birthday, but this time they said we're just gonna go over there earlier. And but you know, I guess we'll take the get right game a little bit earlier. So
yeah, because what was it, 2 years ago, Messi got the 6 goal contributions.
Yes, what a disaster.
And then last year, I forget what it was, but I know that we mollywopped them last year also.
I mean, Mike V is reporting live from Tootsie's. Got the cave dwellers out there. Good job.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it's your choice to be there on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's too early. This is like the warm-up show around this time. So they got the prime time stuff coming a lot later.
Shout out to Sean Sock 81. Love watching you guys from Alaska. What?
Hey, Sean, is it true that they pay people to move to Alaska, Sean? I'm curious because I've heard this.
I think it's true, Danny. I think it's true. And there's like a lot of stuff happening there. And I don't want to say agriculturally, but like with fishing and all that stuff, you make good money, I guess, if you work in that business.
The way things are right now in Miami, if they're paying me to live somewhere, I might go. I don't know. All right.
What's the weather in Alaska? That's interesting. It's 40 degrees out.
The weather is.
It's sunny out there, I think.
Yeah, 40's got to be sunny. Like it's got to be like
sunset is at 9:04. Well, yeah, of course it's 9:04 p.m. Yeah, I mean now we're breaking down Alaska weather and times. Like, who would have thought, huh? Did you guys have that circled on your bingo card?
Boom, Sean. Yeah, every October Alaskans get about $2,000 to $1,500 per household.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
It's time to make a move.
Yeah,
you think
that's
I mean, you're never gonna get any sports teams up there, but that's for the oil revenue.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll
take it.
So we are here to preview the Inter Miami Red Bulls game, new stadium, and we do have a guest. And you know what? Me and Chris were talking about
Churros.
it, and we've had Bob on with us a couple times, but I think it's always been on the soccer show where we cover just the MLS in general. I think this is the first time he joins us on Battered Herons. I think maybe he can remember, but I think it's the first time he joins us on actual Battered Herons.
I believe so. I believe so as well. I don't think he's ever been with the zombies in the chat.
So without further ado, I'm gonna bring Bob on, see if he can clear this up for us. What's going on, Bob? Is this the first time you join us on the actual Inter Miami show?
Hey, it can't be, right?
I feel like it can be, but then I think about it, I think every time you come on with us, it's been on the soccer show.
Someone quick, just go on YouTube and just go to your site and search my name, Bob V. It'll be the first one up there. No, I think the chat's gotten at me a couple times, and I get back at them. So it is what it is.
Sense. There you go. Fun season for the Red Bulls so far. Michael Bradley taking the reins and playing all the young guns, which I think was unexpected. I don't know if you were expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. I think I had you on for the preview, and we didn't expect that. How have the Red Bulls been looking so far this year?
It's been a lot. It's been up and down. It's been all sides. It is, starting out 2-0. It's losing 6-1 to Charlotte. It's taking FC Cincinnati last week. If my team can't be good, I'd prefer they be exciting, and that's exactly what we have here. We have a really exciting squad. They're going to surprise a lot of people, but they're also going to put up some stinkers up there, which is exactly what we've seen so far. So I think that this is one of the very exciting, but one of also the hardest to predict teams in Major League Soccer when you talk about results. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Put your goal total in the chat, and it could be anywhere between 0 and 12, and it could be right. Like, I don't know. There are that many different outcomes that can play when this team heads into town. We get that because it's young guys. Right? Well, maybe they rise to the occasion. They just all want to kick Messi in the back of the heels to say they did it. Maybe they're too small for the moment. We don't know, So that's where we're going this season. There's been some highlights. I think one of them last week against a rival FC Cincinnati, someone who's had our number 4-2 win. Great result when you can beat Cincinnati like that. But then, Inter Miami, you guys are right. We're 6-6 historic. Never drew, never a draw. Really? 6-6 historic, and Miami is up 23-22 in the goals. So you got us led by 1 goal, which if you mention current dominance, that's because historically it was Red Bull kicking you guys in the teeth each and every game. So you get a little bit of revenge lately.
It's funny that you bring that up. Just a quick flashback. I remember the Inter Miami had a nice little run when Campana first arrived, and we're like, "Oh, this is going to be an all-star. This is going to be a playoff team." And the Red Bulls came into town and completely messed that up, and they kicked us in the teeth. I remember, and I remember specifically because there was one very obnoxious Red Bulls fan that kept running up and down the aisles every time you guys scored. He did it like 5 times. I don't know if you remember that, Chris.
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that guy. Dickhead. George Torres just decides to drive by here, pull a 6-1, Bob, because Charlotte.
I'm not
Bessie
playing this
got
one,
6-1.
It won't be 6-1, Bob. I'm not playing in this one.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's referring to Charlotte.
Yeah, he's referring to Charlotte for sure. Yeah, because Charlotte gave you guys the business. Now, Mike V is clarifying something here. And by the way, I just want to mention I counted the Red Bulls out this season. I thought they were going to be absolute hot garbage. But Mike V is saying it's not the first time. Last time he was on, he said he was Timu Thor, so he is Dollar Thor.
It wasn't Thor, though. I think he called me Timu Big Show.
Oh, the Big Show was a good one. Yes.
Big Show.
Yes, I remember that.
One. I like the Thor, though, because Thor has more redder sort of features. Like Big Show is just Big Show.
He's not Italian, though. You're not getting that right.
Yeah.
I see the change. I see the change.
Italian.
So the Red Bulls, like you said, you can expect that from a young team, up and down season. I mean, I feel like everybody was really bullish on them until Montreal randomly came into town and kind of just ran. I don't even know what just happened there. 3-0 in New York or New Jersey, whatever. And then you draw with Toronto, and all of a sudden everybody kind of jumps off the bandwagon.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead and get your ass kicked by Charlotte, and then everybody's completely off. And then you beat Cincinnati, which hasn't been consistent. So I'm wondering, how's the fan base feeling going into this game? Are they like, oh, hope it, like you said, an exciting game? Because, I mean, young players playing against Messi in a new stadium, which the atmosphere is going to be jumping. Just if it was anything like it was this Austin game, the atmosphere is going to be high energy, big game feel, I think. What's the fan base expecting?
So Red Bull is a team that's been around for what, 30 years. No cup, no MLS Cup. So that's kind of how I feel all the time. It's all negative all the time. It's whoever's more popular can be the most pessimistic. You know, that's kind of what goes on with Red Bulls. So we feel that. We also feel the pendulum swing. I mean, you guys feel that down in Miami too, I'm sure. It's
all the time.
Every single time there's a loss, it's fire everyone, get a new coach. What is going on here? I trust Michael Bradley. Okay. I trust Michael Bradley. He knows more about soccer than I do. Not by a little, by a substantial margin.
He's probably forgotten more than we've ever learned.
Yeah. So it's going to take some growing pains. And we've heard growing pains a lot over the past few years. But here, I think it's actually being implemented because he's starting the young players who are needing to grow into the position. And what we've seen already is young players step up and take the spotlight and reward the coach for his trust.
Of the three teenagers, which one do you think has shined the most? Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, Mehmedi seems to be the one that's on everybody's tongue. Every time Julian Hall, I guess because he's a forward, right? He gets the numbers. But Mehmedi, I think, is the one that when you really watch the game is the one that stood out the most.
Yeah, without a doubt. He has been I would argue, the second best player on Red Bull so far. I would say the first one would be Justin Che, who may not be back yet. He had a non-contact hamstring injury about 3 weeks ago. Those things, that could be a week, that could be 6 weeks, who knows? Hopefully he's back because he's our best center back by far. Adrian Mehmedi is young, man. He is 17 years old. I think he just turned 17. And April 6th was his 17th birthday. There you go. Pull that number
2
up
days
for
ago.
you.
Jeez.
Young. He's also already 6 foot. He's kind of grown into himself. He's kind of lanky, not very muscular, but he has been great as like that, single number 6 in the system.
Tyler Adams there.
Oh, 1,000%. And then the fact that who picked him out? He was obscure. He was winning. What is the next pro with Michael Bradley last season? Michael Bradley says, I trust him, and he's going to be the plug-in number 6 each and every day. If Michael Bradley tells you that, you got to listen, right? Like, this kid has some talent, and he's not going to be in Major League Soccer for long. But I hope he does stay like Tyler Adams, gets a couple of years, and then heads off to the big show because he has all the talent in the world, hasn't grown into his body yet. You could just see looking at him, he looks like a 16-year-old. But Michael Bradley, kind of known as a safe player, one of those square pass specialists. That is not Adrian Mehmedi. He is looking to get the ball upfield every time. So seeing a number 6 with 85%, 90% pass completion, fine. How many of those are progressive passes? How many of those are key passes that end in a shot? Many of them. He's got good vision. I think he is at this point right now where he's kind of seeing the ball maybe a step ahead of everyone else and just not making mistakes. So Mehmedi, I didn't even let you finish your question. Mehmedi.
No, that was the question.
Well, and I mean, I wanted to make a point because the thing is, Forsberg, he's looked really good to me this season, and he's not the best player that you guys have performing so far this season. But like, it seems because you guys run like a 4-3-3, but that doesn't seem to be the same case when I'm watching.
Yeah, it's a little different of a 4-3-3. A lot of times you'll see a 4-3-3 with a number 10. Emil Forsberg is kind of pushing out left and kind of playing like a 2-10 or like an 8.5. I don't know what you really want to call him there. He's not doing that, trequarista duties that maybe he had done a little bit in the past, pushing in maybe a little more interchange up on the wing. So it's more like a 4-1-2-2-1 kind of a 4-3-3 where you have 2 wingers and a center forward, but the midfield is inverted with a 6 and 2 number 8s. And that's kind of what they've been going with. I agree. Emil Forsberg's been one of the best players on the field. He's the oldest player on the field most times by at least a decade, a literal decade, 10 years older than the next oldest player on the pitch. And I feel like he's kind of taken that and done really well with it. We don't need him to score, although he had a banger on a set piece just last week. He's played fantastically. He's been everything that we expected him to be since he's come to Red Bull. And it hasn't shown up in like a best 11 on the score sheet kind of guy, but I do think a lot of the team's success has to be around him and around Choupo-Moting, who's grown into his age and knows the role that he plays. It's a very, very important role, being a mentor, being that last guy off the bench. I mean, you're taking someone who played, at such a high level, and he's your first guy off the bench. He's older, but, I talked, and hopefully some of you guys are like American football fans. For a long time in football, we talked about running backs. I started as a fantasy football analyst, as like, when they turn 31, whatever, that's the year that their legs fall off.
Decline, yep.
It's not the year. It's the number of career touches that they've had that determine when a running back's legs crap out. And for Eric Choupo-Moting, he's never been an each and every week starter. So I feel like he does have a lot less wear for his age, and he's playing really well at a high level too. He lost his starting job, but I don't hate that.
Well, and that's an interesting thing, because that's a conversation we've been having down here, is if you have a DP and he's not starting, then you're wasting a DP spot. That's how we feel about Berterame right now, because he is underperformed. I mean, not a lot of people weren't happy about getting him to begin with.
But he has a goal, though, Danny.
Berterame?
No. Choupo-Moting.
Choupo-Moting has a goal.
Choupo-Moting. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So it sounds like you guys are okay with your DP signing coming off the bench. And I mean, you're a team that's in a bit of a development year. So I'm sure it doesn't really mean much, right? You want to just see the growth, and you want to compete, get in the playoffs, see how far you can take this. Whereas in Miami is in a win everything now mode. So those DPs need to count. So that's the frustration with Berterame, because 2 of the 3 DPs right now aren't performing to DP level. And that's a problem that Miami's going through right now.
I think Red Bull is in a position where 2 of their DPs aren't playing very. Oh, actually, I think who is the Berggren? I think he was bought down, so he's not a DP anymore. But yeah, you're right, but you're wrong. Emil Forsberg and Eric Choupo-Moting are on the last year of their contract. We fully expect them to both swan song together. I think this is going to be their last season collectively, and it's time to get another, maybe high achieving player like that who had been, on the bench for, someone in France for a couple seasons or whatever the case is. So it's okay that he's not starting week in and week out, because we don't need a DP performing, because of the style in which it happened. It's not because he's playing so badly. It's because the young kid's playing so well that he can't sit him down. I don't know that this youth experiment was anything more than exactly that, youth experiment. I mean, you come out with Matt Dos Santos, Adri Mehmedi, Julian Hall, all guys under the age of 20. Then you have Cade Powell, who's at 21, Marshall Ruddy, 23, whatever they're, Justin Che, 21, the youngest team in Major League Soccer history to ever step on a field. And I said, this is great. Michael Beide knows what he's doing. He's a teacher, and teachers reward students for good behavior. They reward students for giving good effort. And I'm like, this is great. First game of the season, he's given all his young players who he just won a championship with a start, and then we'll go back to normal next week. We didn't go back to normal because they played so well. So the manner in which ECM has been jumped on the depth chart is good, whether or not he's actually starting. And there's going to be a lot of times this season where he's going to get a full 90, where he's going to be called on to be that guy. But if he can hang out on the bench and let the young guys play, we're okay with that too.
Chris?
No, I was just going to ask, because you had mentioned about the possible departures, right? Like Danny and I talk about the possibility of teams getting big names after the World Cup, and especially the corners of the map, right? And New York Red Bulls, to me, is a team that I feel like can potentially get a big name. That's, I imagine, the expectation from the fan base, no?
Yes and no. It kind of goes back to that always pessimistic, it's always going to be, the next bust who we sign. And look, Red Bull have been very ambitious in the past few years. I think we counted, they brought in like 12 attacking players in between last year and the previous 4 seasons. And just try after try just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work. It doesn't connect. But I think Red Bull have a history of going after the big players. I mean, we had Thierry Henry here for quite some time. And then, look, I think the plan was, for a couple of times there have been brothers on our roster for a long time. I think Orlando, the Brazilian midfielder, won Champions League with AC Milan. My boy Kaká. His brother played for the Red Bull system for a little while. I think maybe like Rooney's brother played for Red Bull system for some time, and we signed Sean Wright Phillips' little brother in order to bring him over. So some of these moves have worked out, some of them haven't. In this case, Sean Wright Phillips' younger brother is way better than he was, and made himself into an MLS legend. So I think there is pull from the city. I think NYCFC is going to be a bigger competition now. They do have a stadium in the works, but there's no reason this couldn't be a destination. But it's got to be something that fits the system, and the system is young, sold overseas. There's a lot of players who can do really, really well in the 3 years they play here before they prepare for a big move.
Now, Mo Salah isn't coming to the MLS, guys.
Won't happen.
He's not coming to the MLS.
He will be playing with Ronaldo.
Probably somewhere. I mean, he's going to be closest to Egypt. He's going to Saudi probably. Bob, when you look at this Red Bulls team, would you say that there's a strength that this team has at the moment outside, I guess, their legs?
It's the legs. Okay. It's the youth. It's the fight. People just want to play. It's like watching kids on a playground. That's one of the things I really admire actually about Messi. When he's not complaining about a foul he doesn't get, in those little moments of brilliance when he has the ball at his feet, he looks like he's having fun, and that's what I think that this team has. One of the strengths I'm going to put on them is wing play. You have Cade Cowell, who I've talked very badly about in his career. I don't think he's much of a soccer player. He's an athlete.
No, but he's a motor.
What he's asked to do for this team is exactly the skill set he's built for. It was okay. Cameron Harper's hurt, so get up there and run up and down the field, taxi the ball, and it helps that he's also a huge human being, and he can shoulder people off a little better than anyone else on the squad can. So I would watch him. Who's he going to be paired up against on left back there? Is that going to be Noah Allen?
Probably
in for
Noah Allen. Oui.
Probably in for a day there.
Noah Allen's is on the smaller side.
Yeah, so that's a particular area I look for some overlap play on the wings there. Rufal Kaba on the other side is not quite the same direct winger. He's not going to be taking the ball to goal himself. A lot of interchange play with Emil Forsberg, and those two guys have done a really good job of avoiding the tackle each and every time. And the goal by Julian Hall, they're tap-ins, man. He wants to get himself in the perfect spot. He's fast enough. He's quick enough, quicker than fast. But he find himself in the best position. And again, like a kid, he sees the ball and he sees a glance in net. He's going to run. He's going to charge at it. And he wants to take that shot as close to the net as possible. And Mehmeti's going to help facilitate that. So I would say that is a particular strength of the team. Set pieces. Look at Emil Forsberg. Look, you got to see what he did. That's another place that Red Bull can have a little area of strength. There's a lot of weaknesses on the squad. There's a lot of things we don't know. But we do know when Cade Cowell missed a game, that's when we played the worst game of our season. So, I expect him to play a much bigger part than I originally saw on the squad.
Well, outside of this last game when you put up 4 in Cincinnati, the Red Bulls have had a hard time finding the back of the net. They've been grinding things out. Is that the weakness? Just the creativity in the final third?
Yes. And part of that comes with experience.
It's weird because every time I watch you guys, I feel like you guys are creative enough with the players that you have to be able to have success. Like when I've been watching the Red Bulls lately, every week I'm regretting my speech of the Red Bulls being complete hot garbage.
Yeah, you're right. And look, part of it is, we played Orlando. Okay, you're going to look really creative every time you play Orlando. Then New England, a little better than we thought they were going to be. Montreal was a weird game. We gave up a penalty really early. They sat back and bunkered and countered, and Red Bull couldn't break down that bunker. I think that is a weakness of the squad. That's a weakness to every squad in Major League Soccer, right? What do? You get 10 guys behind the ball and no one can score on you. Toronto's better than we thought they were. Playing in Charlotte is very, very hard. They just whooped our butts. And but then you got to saw something against FC Cincy. I mean, they're not what they used to be, but they're not scrubs either. And Red Bull, really stepped up to the occasion. So look, maybe if you wear a pink jersey in MLS, you think every team plays a little boring because they're not getting 8 goals each and every week. But I do think this Red Bull squad, when they win, you're going to see more 4-2s than you have in the past. I don't think you're going to see a lot of 2-1 matches. They're going to get shut out. They're going to put up some bad games. They're going to put up some brilliant games. And we can't really predict what it is. It's very surprising.
And the Red Bulls aren't really playing that energy drink ball anymore.
Not like they did last year.
I would disagree with that in a few different ways. I mean, It's been more mature, right? The energy drink ball of the past was run at the guy with the ball as fast as you can. Right. And that works when you're faster than everyone else and fitter than everyone else. But there's a certain way you can get more mature with it. Like, find out what the trigger is. A heavy touch triggers the press, or in certain instances, hey, let that side of the let those two guys pass the ball amongst themselves, and we're gonna lock everyone else down. So I do think that there's a little more method to the madness, but that doesn't mean they're not looking to jump on a quick turnover. Cade Cowell's got a nose for that. You give a bad pass out the back, and this team's still going to jump on you the way they used to. And I'm not sure that that's a bad thing because, just running at people under Jesse Marsh didn't result in an MLS Cup. So time to try something new.
No, I mean, that works in the regular season, but once you start playing against better teams that
of course
can beat the press, it's a lot harder. So the weakness, we talked about the attack. How's your defense?
Bad.
Okay.
It's bad. So you have Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, who's kind of a known MLS commodity at this point. He's a serviceable winger, maybe a little better as like a wing back than a fullback. Matthew Dos Santos, young. We don't really know a whole lot about him, but he's played really well so far. It's the center backs. Look, Justin Che is the bright spot on the team. He's been the best player so far. We've talked about Mehmeti. We've talked about Julian Hall. Justin Che has been the best player. I think he's had 2 clearances off the line, 1 nice header flick over the back of the bar, saving some goals there. And on the other side, it's whoever's fit. Robert Volader, Dylan Nealis, Tim Parker. I think Dylan Nealis, when he's at full strength, can be there, but he's a converted midfielder to a wing back, to a fullback, to a center back now. That is what the weakness is. It's going to be being caught back. It's going to be making a red card foul on someone to go running away and you grab their jersey too fast. It's going to be getting pulled out by big number 10s. Look, when we played against Montreal, their number 10, who was a Red Bull player for a bunch of years, just carved this team apart. I'm really surprised Evander couldn't get it done last week. In fact, that may be a little bit of an indictment on what Evander has going on this season, but it's going to be these number 10s. A number 10 who can pull Red Bull out of position is a number 10 who is going to have success against the New York Red Bulls. If I was Miami and I wanted to beat the Red Bulls, seeing what I saw, I would say, okay, cool. Messi is dropping back. He's not going to be a forward. We want him being that distributor, that playmaker. He doesn't need to score. He's going to find those pockets of space like he always does. And getting just, pulling these guys out of position, that has been the weakness. Ethan Horvat's been pretty good in goal, and the defense has actually been a little better, minus the one game in Charlotte, than I expected. But we know this is a weakness. We know exactly what's going to do it. So that's something we got to watch out for.
All right. Well, you talked about players that we should be looking out for. Yeah, Chris, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, I think this might be a pretty good game to have Luis Suarez play on the pitch, because that creativity in the final third could be able to kind of help break open the game. Batterame hasn't been doing it either. So, I mean, I'd be surprised that Batterame doesn't get the start, but at the same time, I think it would be a strong thing to consider to have Luis. I mean, I don't know if you think I'm wrong here, Danny, to have Luis Suarez at least play 30 minutes or something.
Oh, I think I would put Suarez over Batterame, absolutely, but I don't think either one of them is going to get to start. I think they're going to go with Messi as the false 9 again. And I think they're going to stick with that moving forward until it proves to not work, that's the best option we have. Unfortunately, we are playing with 10 men because Allende is basically an empty. It's like a dark hole over there on the right side. But outside of that, I mean, I think that Messi as the false 9 and then Silvetti creating on the left is the way to go. The only way Allende can be productive is if the Red Bulls start pressing so high that they leave space in for him to run in behind. If they're not doing that, Allende is completely pointless. He's completely pointless.
It's funny you mention it because that is something that Red Bull offers this season. They do offer one open side of the field at most times.
Well, if that is the case, then maybe Allende can do something. The reason that his season turned around a little bit last year during the summer was because he was playing against teams that are a lot more aggressive. The Palmeiras, the Portos, they don't sit back, they don't bunker, they come at you, and they left space for him to run in behind. And that's why all of a sudden he had a good tournament, went into the playoffs, and Cincinnati, they didn't bunker. They went at him, and then all of a sudden he's scoring a hat trick. NYCFC, same thing, scored 2 goals, whatever it was. So he was playing against teams that went for it. If you're a team that's going to go ahead and bunker down, it's pointless to play him. He has no quality on the ball. He is 50-50 when it is finishing. If there's traffic anywhere, he doesn't create for others. He doesn't make any diagonal runs without the ball. He is useless if he doesn't have space in to run. If he can't use his pace, that's it. What's the point of having him out there?
I like the chat here saying Birthday will score a goal in this weekend. I think against this Red Bull team, if you see a lineup without Justin Che in it, do you ever like play squads against someone and like they my friend's cool, he's gonna come, he's gonna help the team, and then they're just dribbling and taking a shot from everywhere? Like, do that. Get your guy going, because look, Inter Miami had 2 must-win games this season,
and they lost both.
And they lost and they drew one, right? Didn't they? It felt like a loss. The opening at your new stadium, you can't not score first. You can't give up a goal. So you guys got to get this guy going, and you just spam triangle. Just threw balls to him all day long.
I think that would be great if they get him going. I don't see it, man. It's unfortunate. It's just frustrating, but I just don't see it in him. But we'll have to wait and see. All right. So before I get into this next part, I want to make sure that everybody knows, for those that don't, Bob is the MLS guru when it comes to sports betting. So, Bob, before I get into this next question, go ahead and plug your stuff.
You can find us on the Designated Pundits. We've been talking Major League Soccer as one of the primary gambling sites for about 3 years now. One of the only podcasts to do it live with odds, real plays that you can track along with us each and every week. We go live Thursday, 8:00, and we do Monday, 8:30, kind of a recap show where we try to bring on a guest from around the league. One of my things is gambling is something you need information for. So we need journalists. We need people in soccer like you guys making a dedicated show I can listen to and say, why can't Miami win? Why can't Orlando win? Why can't Galaxy win? And try to make those plays. So yeah, we'd be really happy if you guys catch us on there. I was the MLS expert on the BetUS MLS show for about a year. That show was prematurely canceled. So Designated Pundits is now my main gig here, and we're off to a really interesting start. It's all the other guys who I taught how to handicap soccer are all winning, and I'm like a half unit up. So everyone else is carrying the show this year, but catch us. We do the same thing, live chat. People send in plays, and I plug it into my little optimizer and, tell you if there's an advantage on the play or not. It's always a lot of fun. And that's about an hour long, starts at 8:00 every Thursday. The Designated Pundits, Spotify now with video, and every major podcast platform.
So make sure
you do expert picks and predictions for like specific games, which is really cool too. Like quick hitters.
Yeah. So that's from our long show. What I do is I just break it up into segments. I have graphics that go up on the screen.
Yeah. But
it's really easy to edit when the graphic comes down. I know to cut and then shoot it back out. So if you don't want to watch the whole hour, if you just want to catch in one game, just note we don't cover all 15 games each week. We only cover the ones that we have official bets in, and a lot of the time when we don't bet a game, it's not because we ran out of time. It's because there are no good plays in that. You know, the sportsbook's gotten a lot sharper, and we're seeing a lot less advantage this year.
So the reason I brought that up was because I'm going to ask you a question. So, Bob, I'm not going to say hypothetically. You are a degenerate gambler. It is a fact. So we're going to stick with
family
that.
business. Yeah.
So let's say hypothetically, for some reason, you got drunk and you put the house on Miami winning on Saturday. Saturday comes around, you get little butterflies. You're like, I shouldn't have done that. I don't feel good about this, but now I need to make sure Miami wins because I can't lose my house. So you fly down to Miami. You get access to the new stadium. You get access to Mascherano for some reason. So you walk up to Mascherano and you whisper in his ear, this is how you're going to beat the Red Bulls. What are you telling him?
4-3-3. Play Messi as a number 10. Bertarame up top. We got to get that guy going. And yeah, you're just a better team. You should really probably just win. I mean, it is what it is.
No, I absolutely. How is it that Charlotte beat you guys? What is it that happened with Charlotte?
Charlotte
put up six goals. What is it that happened?
It's like playing in an SEC environment, and I don't think
they're
the young
good
kids
though,
are quite
Danny.
ready for the madness.
So you think that that's going to affect them this weekend?
No, look, there were other things that happened too. I think that was the first game without Michael Shea.
Okay.
I think that was also a game without Cade Cowell, who was out with the birth of his first kid, I believe. We're gonna have those. It's growing pains, man. Every team's gonna lose by 5 goals at least once in an MLS season, and that our card was up. You know, again, there's a huge range of outcomes that could be here. If you told me Red Bull won 2-1, I would believe. If you told me Red Bull won 6-1, I'd believe you. If you told me Inter Miami won 1,000-1, I would believe you there too. You know, it's so random. Don't put your money on Miami. Just don't bet this game. If you do, little Messi anytime goal or assist, something like that would be a good play.
Yeah, the Red Bulls, like I said, up and down this season just because they're so young.
Yeah,
I find it weird though, Danny, that you asked him about the Charlotte game. And you didn't ask him about the Montreal game. That was more of a disaster.
Way more. It was at home. But that, again, that was very explicable as to what happened. Prince Owusu got a penalty 8 minutes into the match.
Carmona came and got his revenge.
Yeah. Carmona got his revenge with 2 goals there. Again, he was like kind of the number 10 for the squad on that day. We are terrible against one of the number 10s. The very next week, Mihailovic did it to us again. Those top skilled center attack, whoever's playing right at the top of the box is going to eat this club up. There, it's very, very easy what happened. We had 67% of possession in that game. It's just that we gave up an 8-minute goal. And they played 10 behind the ball and the counterattack the rest of the match. And I think that is, the recipe. If you really want to beat this squad, get a goal in the first 5 minutes. And then you could have your guys like Allende run up and down the field, with his pants down or whatever he does. I don't know, but it's going to work. It's going to work,
It's funny because that's how you beat Miami also, because they have a tough time breaking down that low block. All right. Prediction time, Chris.
Yeah, it's game time. And Mike B already started it off with a score of 14,312 to 1. And I did the math. And if we were to score within the 90 minutes, it'd be 159 goals that would be needed per minute in order to fulfill that prediction.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance. Pretty possible.
Yeah.
There might be.
I would say maybe it's the opposite of the FC Cincy. Maybe it's 4-2 for Miami.
You think so?
I don't think we see less than 4 total goals in this game. I think this is a 5 or more.
4,
wow.
2, 6.
Okay.
I don't see it that high scoring.
I was going to go with a 3-2 score, Inter Miami winning.
Okay.
I think it's going to be closer than what people think. Mr. Krabs is saying 4-1, by the way.
Just because
Heat 23 saying Beta Brace loading.
Just because Bob has sold me on the 10s playing so well on top of the box, I can see Messi going for a brace at least. I'll say Miami gets 3, and the Red Bulls, do they get one? They can get one. They can get one. I'd say 3-1 Miami. But I think we all agree then. I think Miami takes this. Just look, I think that the home field advantage, the young guys being inconsistent, I think that's going to play a lot into this, and I think that that'll be the deciding factor. All right, Bob, do you know if anybody's traveling down?
I have a question before we finish.
Okay. Do you know if there's a large contingency of Red Bull fans traveling down for the game?
There's always 20 or 30 this time of year. I mean, it's going to be 50 here on Saturday, so I'd be looking to get down there if I could.
Okay. Austin showed up pretty nicely last weekend, which is surprising.
Oh, nice.
They had and they were loud. I think it's the bowl. The way the bowl is constructed, it just gets loud. So when they got loud, you can hear it. Go ahead, Chris. You had a question?
Well, I know it's you, Florida man. It's just I think last time I called you out the first time when we saw the new name, you were like, "Oh, don't do that" or something like that. I don't know if it was him or somebody else, but I wanted to bring this up because I saw this when I was watching the game. This was in the stands, right? Apparently, it says, "What is it?"
Passion
over
over
profit. Welcome. We come to support, not
so season tickets.
we come not to sell season tickets. What was this about?
So
what was the deal with that?
Ooh, this is a tricky one because I'm not involved in that organization. One of the smaller supporters clubs lost the rights to have banners and drums in the stadium because their numbers, their organization numbers, their season ticket numbers dropped below a certain number. So their reaction was not that we're a small supporters club. We only have 25, 30 people in the stands. It was, well, you want us to sell season tickets. And you're right. It was completely short-sighted of the club to do that. The reason was you didn't meet a threshold. And I think that's, part of the thing. ESC used to be one of the biggest supporters groups in Major League Soccer. It's not anymore by a lot. In fact, I think Viking Army might be bigger than them right now in the South Ward. So, I think that is a concern. And if you're going to have a supporters group, it can't just be 5 guys and you give them all the rights and privileges associated with the biggest supporters. In this case, it's just a weak move. You're going to just alienate fans that your hand was not pressed. No one asked you to alienate them. The season ticket holders around them weren't, and I guess that's kind of the fair thing. If there's 3 groups for the 3 supporter section, you want to fill up your club so that there are less casual fans. The more casual fans, the less drums and banners and stuff you get. So, I'm trying to see it from the club side, but it's a move no one forced them to make. No one told them, hey, you need to take away these privileges. It just shouldn't have been done. It was really, really silly. And that's how they chose. And I support them in holding those banners.
It's interesting. I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, Bob. Well, as always, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. You plugged your stuff already. Remind everybody, what day is it that you come on? Tuesday and Thursday?
Monday, 8:30 with a week recap, hopefully with a special guest from each club. Someone who's doing something special. We just had Fabian Wrinkle on from Kickbase, formerly from Tectonic Takes, to talk about the Quakes, who are off to an amazing start so far this season. And then Thursday, 8 o'clock with picks each and every week.
Yep. Bob, appreciate you joining us. Chris, do you have any final words?
No, this was fantastic. San Jose Earthquakes is another team I sort of NRSL predicted them to be garbage, and they just completely made me eat bleep. So there goes that. Thank you so much for coming on with us, Bob. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, guys, anytime, and thank you everyone there for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, man, and shout out to Soccer Daddy for reminding me. Fabian did win Worst Guest of the Year last year. I have to send him his trophy. Yeah. Him and Tommy. Tommy won it twice, and Fabian. So shout out to Fabian for winning that award, prestigious award, may I add. Well, we'll be back on Saturday for the post game, and we'll be at the stadium obviously for the game. So looking forward to it. I mean, I can't wait. Honestly, the more I think about that, how great that stadium was, minus the exiting because that was a disaster. Minus that, awesome time. So I'm looking forward to going on Saturday again. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Please leave 5 stars and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And we will be back on Saturday for the post game. So until the next one, have a good one.